Leaving a job, whether you quit or were let go, comes with an immediate wave of financial stress. You turn your keys in, walk out the door, and suddenly have to figure out how to cover rent while looking for the next gig. That paycheck represents the specific hours you already logged and the work you already delivered. It serves as the final settlement for past productivity, entirely distinct from discretionary extras like severance. Because you've already completed the work, that cash is legally your property. Your employer doesn't get to decide if you get paid. They only have to follow the rules on exactly when they have to hand it over. The baseline rule for this comes from the Fair Labor Standards Act, or FLSA. Under federal law, a company just has to get your final pay to you by the next regular payday. They don't have to cut you a check the second you walk out the door. But that federal rule is just a starting point. State labor laws regularly override it to protect workers who suddenly find themselves cut off from their income. Many states enforce much tighter, accelerated payment deadlines. Timelines split based on how you leave. With 2 weeks' notice, you wait a standard period. But getting fired frequently triggers an immediate state mandate. As this U.S. map shows, deadlines are scattered. Check your state labor department's rules for your exact separation. Companies get into trouble when they assume the federal next payday rule applies everywhere. If they miss a tighter state deadline, they are legally withholding your property. Depending on where you live, that means they could be racking up daily financial penalties, payable directly to you. A complete final payout requires a calculation that extends beyond your base hourly rate. It must incorporate your overtime, any shift differentials, and all finalized commissions. Then there is the issue of paid time off, or PTO. A common misconception is that federal law forces companies to cash out your unused vacation days. It doesn't. This diagram outlines the 2 ways your PTO actually turns into cash. Your unused hours move down one of 2 paths. Either your state law specifically classifies accrued PTO as earned wages, or your company's own employee handbook explicitly promises to pay it out. If either pathway is true, those hours convert into a legally owed payout. Your employer hasn't fulfilled their obligation until every single contractual and statutory dollar you earned, up to your absolute last minute on the clock, is reflected on that final pay stub. Sometimes a manager will tell you that you aren't getting your last check until you return a company laptop, uniform, or set of keys. Federal law treats your earned wages as a debt the company owes you, which is legally separate from any equipment you might owe the company. Because these are 2 distinct legal matters, withholding a paycheck to force an equipment return is an unauthorized and illegal use of your funds. This chart illustrates the strict limits on what a company can take back. Even if your boss deducts the cost of an unreturned uniform from your pay, that deduction must stop the second you hit the federal minimum wage floor. They cannot zero out your earnings. For salaried workers exempt from overtime, the rules are even stricter. Standard deductions for lost property generally cannot be used to chip away at that predetermined weekly salary base. If a company wants to recover the value of a missing laptop, they have to treat it as a separate civil dispute. They do not get to play vigilante and extract the cost directly from your earned wages. The legal deadline has come and gone. You're checking your bank app and there is no deposit, or the amount they sent is short. You are now dealing with an active labor violation. This is exactly when you stop sending angry texts to your former manager. The informal back and forth is over, and you need to prepare for a formal dispute. Start pulling your documentation together immediately. You need your final schedules, past pay stubs, your original offer letter, and any emails or texts discussing your separation. Labor disputes run on paper trails. When you organize a complete file of evidence showing exactly what you worked and what you were promised, you take the control out of the employer's hands and place it firmly in your own. Take that evidence file and submit it as a formal wage claim. You can file this directly with your state's Department of Labor or the Federal Wage and Hour Division. These government agencies do not mess around with wage theft. They have the authority to audit the company's books, mandate your payment, and tack on those waiting time penalties we discussed earlier. Filing a wage claim is a protected act. If your former employer tries to retaliate against you for demanding your money, they are committing a separate and severe federal offense. Your final paycheck is the legal settlement of the labor you provided. It belongs to you, and the law provides the exact tools you need to force a company to hand it over.